Okay, so happy to have my friend and previous pre-launch plan program student and member, Sydney Craig, here with me today. And Sydney just got done with her launch, has such a great story, and I'm so excited to talk to her. But not only that, one of the things when people go through my program is like getting to know what they do and their philosophies and how they work with people always fascinates me. And Sydney's is something I had never heard of before, and I truly think it's life-changing. So Sydney, please tell everyone who you are and all about what you do.
Oh, hi. Thanks so much, Brenna. I'm really excited to be here. And my name is Sydney Craig, and I have a brick and mortar studio, movement studio, and I have an online movement studio that essentially is that helps people get out of pain, helps people get stronger and more flexible, so they can stay active in their lives as they get older. And yes, so the pre-launch plan program was huge for helping me with this last launch of the online side of my business.
And I want to talk about your business a little bit more because I don't think it's anything I've heard of. And because in the past, you were a Pilates instructor, and you started to notice something, and you started to notice that Pilates wasn't, I'm not going to use your language here, but not cutting it for you probably per se. And this like self-discovery helped you create what is now your membership.
Yes, and that's what I realized. Yeah, what I left out and what the restorative alignment-based restorative exercise side of my business. So it's I do still teach some Pilates, but the majority of the work that I teach is helping people better understand their alignment and how the way they sit, walk, stand, like everyday normal movement and habits that we kind of adopt as we move through our lives influence how our bodies age, essentially influence how our bodies feel and what we're able to do with our bodies. And one of my favorite things is helping people understand that when they start to make like small shifts or simple shifts in how they use their bodies, their body will start to adapt and change. So then it becomes possible to regain mobility that a person has lost, not being able to get on the floor anymore. That's something that I love, helping people be able to get back down on the ground and get back up from the ground as a way of feeling better. Yep.
I didn't mean to cut you off. The other thing I think that was really fascinating about what you do with people is kind of these things, I'm 45, almost 46. And even at this age, there's probably things that you like go, oh, this is just normal. Like, oh, my back hurts. Or if you're a woman who's had many children like I do, like, oh, it's normal to like pee when I sneeze, or these things that like we just have taken on as normal. Truly, and I think that's what you helped me open my eyes around. It's like these are things that can be corrected with simple alignment-based exercises.
Yes, as a culture, like there's a lot of things that, because we're modern humans, there's a lot of things going on in the modern human body that we have in common, like some issues with the pelvic floor or back pain, knee pain, not being able to move and do things like that we just assume is normal, and we check it off as, oh, I'm just getting older. This is just part of what happens when you get older. I'm not going to be able to get on the floor anymore. I'm not going to be able to hike the way I used to. And when in reality, like it's normal, but it's not natural. Like it's normal because as a collective, a lot of people are experiencing these side effects of being a modern human. And once you become more aware of like what are the types of shoes that you wear, like influence how you walk and actually how your glutes, your butt muscles are able to walk or work when you walk. It's not so much that it's not the aging that's the issue. It's the habits and how long we've had our habits, and the way our habits help parts of our body go to sleep. So then there's parts of our bodies not working I always use walking as one of the biggest ones, is like so many people have the way they walk, they're overusing their knees, which contributes to knee pain, and they're overusing their knees because their butt muscles aren't working and their feet aren't working as they were designed. So there's places that compensate, and over time, those places hurt.
Yeah, it's so good. By the way, the normal, not natural, you need to use that in your marketing next time. Like you said, they're like, oh, I wish we would have had that for this last pre-launch. That was so good. And I love it. I love everything that you do. And I was so excited to help you. So talk to me about why you decided to join the pre-launch plan program. Like, where were you at in your decision making?
Well, so I had launched before. I've launched, I think, five times before. And I knew there was a lot that I didn't know. And I also knew there were things that I knew I should be doing that I wasn't making myself do. So there was twofold. I knew that you were going to be able to teach me things that I hadn't thought of. And then the program would also provide like the container to make me kind of do the things that I knew I needed to do.
Yeah,
That
and
makes sense.
I want to point out too, because I think this is a question I get sometimes, is that you have an open membership. So this is something that people can join at any time. So thinking about, and we did a promotion around, or I should say you did a promotion around, a promotion around the membership. But so what did you feel like when you were if someone's like, what is it like inside like the container? What was the experience like for you?
It was very streamlined. You were so thoughtful and detailed in the steps that I went through, that everybody goes through in the program, down to like at the beginning with being able to, one of the big things I think that helped boost my confidence too was in the beginning, actually connecting with a lot of the people on my list who had been on my list for years, my email list, but I'd never communicated with them. And so being able to, communicate like email back and forth, or have get on a call and interview them to find out more about them, making the pre-launch kind of put me on the hook to like make these connections with these people who are interested in following my work. And in doing that, it helped me realize wow, what I'm putting out there, my emails and my blog posts that I'm putting out there, it's actually really resonating with people. Because sometimes we send out emails and we don't always get feedback on our emails that we put out or our blog posts that we put out. But it was just helpful at the beginning to really realize, because I was actually, one of the first steps was like reaching out and like actually connecting with people who are following my work from my email list, that no, like people are actually interested in what I'm doing and they want more. And being able to talk with them and find out more specifically what they wanted was really helpful. To give me more confidence, but make me even more excited to be more thorough in how I approached my pre-launch.
It's kind of a specific, so if you can't think of it on the spot, like, can you think of, and something else to point out about Sydney's, her pre-launch, which we'll get into a little bit more, is that she didn't use social media. It was through her email list. So yeah, and it's funny how each round's a little bit different. This round, I feel like we had a lot of people who are not super active, like little to no social media, and have had super great results, which just goes back to the importance of growing our email list. But can you think of like specific things when you started to open up these back and forth conversations? Can you think of something that you learned that you didn't really realize in the past about your people on your email?
Well, there was definitely themes. So that was, and those themes emerged, a lot around Well, some of it, some of the themes reaffirmed what I was thinking and like what I believed was what I needed to include in my marketing. But then other themes emerged that wasn't really what I was thinking about. Like the biggest issue people had was like time, like one of their biggest issues and things preventing them from signing up was feeling like they wouldn't have time to do the program or participate in what I put out there. And so that was something that if I hadn't really asked people about, and I would have, I mean, I talk about it, but I wouldn't have talked about it as much in my pre-launch to help people understand the value and the benefit of learning about their alignment and how, as you learn about it, and it doesn't require extra time. It's something that you can start to just, it fits into your day.
Yeah.
And so then I could really talk about that in the pre-launch.
And so for everyone's like, well, how did we start these conversations? There's a survey that's completely templated that I have everyone send out. And it's funny, just even yesterday, there's someone else who's like a private coaching and she's thinking about doing a new promotion. And I'm like, okay, we got to get that survey because that survey is so like it sets the stage for finding out some of these things so we know what to talk about. And I like what you said too. And I think there's a mix of this, of what I teach in the program. It's like going, we have these natural hunches because we know our people, but then there's things that we don't necessarily realize. And a lot of times as, you know, and I've been guilty of this in the past too, is like we're talking about something that we assume is maybe an assumption, or we go down a different path and just simply don't realize because we haven't asked the right questions, the kind of things that we need to talk about to get people prepped so that when we do offer them something, they're ready and they understand. And it's really hard to do that if you're trying to smoosh that into like a 7-day launch period, which is
Right.
why I love like what I teach, not for myself or just students, but even for myself.
Yes. Yes.
So you went on and actually launched, you were working. So everyone who comes to the program, it's funny, people do things differently. Some people work way ahead. Some people are working kind of doing it as they go. And you were someone who was like kind of getting things prepped as you were getting ready to launch. Can you talk a little bit about what the rest of your pre-launch looked like and into your launch?
Yes. Well, so all of the what we were just talking about, kind of the information that we gathered at the beginning of the program really set me up to be able to know the emails, like what I needed to say in my emails, and the blog posts. I did do a couple blog posts that were in the pre-launch as well, but it provided me the space to get a lot of the work done ahead of the launch itself. So I got a lot of the emails written. So before the pre-launch itself. So I had the launch emails written too, but the getting like the pre-launch emails written during the program. So when I was actually ready to pre-launch, I was able to briefly edit them, but they were ready to go. So in the past, I've had to, like, I'm writing the emails as I'm going along, and it was just a much less stressful way to do it, to have so much already front loaded, like to have already done so much and know what I was going to be talking about each week. Because you help us lay that out, like what we're going to be talking about for the 4 or 5 weeks ahead of the launch itself.
And you were actually getting replies too, if I remember correctly, like getting replies during, like, to some of the emails that you were sending out. So can you talk about like getting those replies in the midst of the pre-launch and like how it made you feel and further what you were like discovering?
Yes, it was encouraging and at times overwhelming, because sometimes so many, I was surprised, like it was neat to see how certain emails got such, certain topics got such large responses. And then it did help me know, like, I was doing a lot of the PSs in my emails was where we were really kind of fine tuning my message, I guess. And so it would help with what I would say in the PS, or being able to the specific like voice of customer that I would include in an email would be influenced by the feedback people were sharing or emails I was getting.
Yeah, I remember one time you sent me a Voxer. You're like, oh my gosh, I think it was like you had like more than 20 replies
I
to a
did.
single email, which is yeah, it's like the best feeling. And then you're like, oh, I gotta actually reply to all these people. But that's a good problem to have.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And then let's talk, because you went into your actual launch period. I think I'm trying to remember how many spots you had sold during the pre-launch.
At least 15. I think
Wow.
15. Yes.
Yeah.
And yes, my goal for the launch overall was 30. And so going into that, I had 15 already sign up during the pre-launch. And then I blew past the goal, had 46 people sign up during the launch itself. So 46 total.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And I know we talked about this, that this was your single biggest launch that you've ever
Yes.
had.
Yes. Yes.
And
And oh, go ahead.
oh, no, you go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say the other thing that you really helped me and during the program, and you talked quite a bit about it, is I've always done more educational marketing. So like the marketing and the emails, blog posts that I've done before, always been more like educational, where the being able to kind of understand like the ideal client that the membership is ideal for, kind of understanding their beliefs and their pain points, their myths that they're telling themselves, like being able to talk about those in an email or on the blog post, as opposed to my traditional educational marketing, it was new for me, and a different approach as well, which I would say was effective.
Yeah. And I think so, if anyone's watching this now or later, what I talk about is like education. Well, first of all, and I would say this is a broad statement, but some education is cheap at this point, right? Like people think that it's easy to gather information. I think Sydney's, what she talks about is very different. So that would probably not apply as much to her. But what education does sometimes is it keeps people busy. And it makes them think, oh, I got to do this before I'm ready, right? Or they get overwhelmed and they think, oh my gosh, I have so much to do. Like I got to do all of this before I'm ready. So it kind of works against you. And I love education in terms of when we're outside of pre-launch. I think it's a great way to nurture our people. But when we go into that period right before launch, we're really stepping away from that like how-to education. And instead we talk about like we're educating people more about their problem, their situation, the beliefs that they're holding on to that aren't necessarily true, the things that's stopping them from getting results. So those are the kind of things that we're working through in the program to come up with this pre-launch. And I think that's really the thing, because this is where like the conversion part comes in, because that's what we do in conversion copy but we're extending it into our content, and then it doesn't feel pushed, or it's allowing people a lot of space. And if I remember correctly too, that was something with you, like not feeling as, am I right when I'm saying this? Like really figuring out a way to sell that didn't feel like super pushy was important to you.
Yes, well, because it's just not my style, I guess. And yeah.
Yeah. And I
But
think
it was easy, like the way it makes so much sense, like especially being able to, I feel like it helped me meet people where they were in ways that maybe I wouldn't have, and it goes back to like the information gathered at the beginning. So then I was able to talk authentically with people. So it was real, like what I was writing about, what I was talking about was true. So makes it easy to talk and write about it.
Yeah, like that knowing of what people want to know or need to know, what gives you like that confidence that you're saying the right thing. So during your launch, you had sent me a Voxer because you actually had super, personal circumstances going on
Mhm.
during your launch. Can you tell us a little bit of like what happened?
Sure. Excuse me. My mom had an accident while, like, in the middle, it actually right at the beginning of the launch. Um, well, it was, yeah, my mom had an accident and had to have a surgery, and then had this blood clot during the launch itself. Excuse me. And it was the support that the pre-launch had provided, and again, that work that I did, the front loading of the emails being written, mostly written ahead of time, that fully supported me when things got really dicey and tough, because as we know, like, launching is kind of a vulnerable thing to do. I think, like, it's
Mhm.
we put ourselves out there, and so having the launch going on, and then having an emergency at home, if I hadn't had the support that the pre-launch had provided, it would have been a different story. I think I don't know if I would have even been able to send the emails for the launch itself. So it's like I would have gotten through pre-launch and then nothing. with
Yeah,
it.
and I think
Mhm.
this is like, because it's like we pick these like arbitrary launch windows, and I'm for launching in the respect. I think it's nice to have a period of time where it's concentrated effort on our selling, but things don't always work out. I talk, and unfortunately, and like this is something I talk about even on my sales page, and not that I ever want it to be true, but sometimes things happen,
Mhm.
and it like literally means if the pre-launch hasn't been done, we're riding on these like 5 to 7 days, and if a personal circumstance, disaster, any of those things strike, it can ruin all of the effort that you've put in, because no matter what, launching takes time and effort. And so I think unfortunately, like this is just a great example of like having all of this prep ahead of time, going into that launch period already being 50% at your goal. It kind of did you feel like it like took that pressure off during the launch where you weren't as stressed just in general?
Mm, It's hard. Yes, I think yes. I was going to say, like, it's hard to kind of pull apart um, the during that time, but yes, I think it would have been. Yeah, I think it would have been a lot more stressful for sure.
Yeah,
So
it
it
was
was.
already super stressful, or it's hard to
Yeah,
say like,
yeah,
oh yeah,
it would have
this
been
time
shut
wasn't even
down, I think.
stressful, right? Yeah, exactly. So if someone is watching this and they're thinking like, is this program for me? Is it worth my time? Will I get my investment back? All those things that we think about, and even maybe you thought about before coming into the program. Can you speak to what you would say?
Oh, do it. I mean, that's what 100%. Like, it's well, oh, I'm trying to think of what I want to say. I mean, now I have, excuse me, it's so worth going through the process with you, like, as the guide, and then having everything that you create to refer back to for the future is huge. Like, I already feel like a lot of the next pre-launch and launch that I do, I already know I've got like a really solid start with just utilizing and working from this previous pre-launch. So um, it just gave me a different approach. I feel like I have more of a method to it, as opposed to the way I had approached it in the past. So I think having a method, especially one that is works now for me, like I've experienced it for myself, like it definitely works, then that just takes a lot of the guesswork out of the pre-launch and launching itself. So I think that's priceless.
Oh, well, thank you. And thank you for taking time to be live with me today. So for anyone who's listened to this conversation and interested in this alignment-based exercise, and not only, for us, so I know, like, I was thinking like, okay, I need my parents, who are, going to like talk to them about this stuff, because so it's not just for us, but for family members and things. Can you tell everyone where to find you and a little bit about your membership?
Yes. So the website is pilatestonic.com. And there's the brick and mortar. You'll find the brick and mortar there, but then also the online membership you can find that on the pilatestonic.com website as well. And yeah, it's a monthly membership. It's a blend of live videos, but then also pre-recorded videos. So it's self-paced, so you never fall behind. There's a foundation, there's a program of foundation videos inside of the membership as well. So that's where everybody gets started to help them learn the alignment basics. So when they go into some of the other classes or watch some of the other videos, they will have an understanding of what they're feeling for and looking for in their bodies and their alignment.
Great. And I will drop the link to that in the comments as soon as we're done. So thank you, Sydney. I appreciate you being here. If anyone is interested in working with me inside the pre-launch plan program, the doors officially open September 25th. I have a little bit of an early bird bonus too. CM me if you're interested. And thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brenna. Good to see you.
Bye.
Bye.